Welcome to the ReGen Brands podcast. This is a place for brands, retailers, investors, and other food system stakeholders to learn about the consumer brands supporting regenerative agriculture and how they're changing the world. This is your host, Kyle, joined by my co-host, AC, who's going to take us into the episode.
On this episode of the ReGen Brands podcast, we are closing a major chapter and celebrating everything that made it so powerful. Kyle is officially stepping away as the show's regularly scheduled co-host, and in this heartfelt conversation, he shares what's driving this decision, and we both reflect on the journey to date. You'll hear behind-the-scenes stories, favorite moments, some laughs, of course, and a lot of love. And although I'm losing my co-host for the podcast, Kyle isn't saying goodbye to the regenerative movement. He's just shifting how he plans to contribute. Plus, you already know I'm recruiting him back for as many guest co-host episodes as possible, so this is definitely not the last time you'll hear his voice on the show. So tune in as we mark this moment, say thank you, and look forward to what's next together. Let's dive in. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the ReGen Brands podcast. Today is a very bittersweet day in the ReGen Brands ecosystem and the ReGen Brands world. Kyle and I are coming to you solo today because we have a rather important announcement, and it's really Kyle's to make. So I'll let him bat lead off here.
Yeah, man, appreciate that. I don't know how you're going to title this episode. So for anybody listening, they might already know in the title, but this will be my last episode from a regularly scheduled perspective. And we can get into some of the why and like that, but it's been such an honor being a part of this thing, truly. It's so weird. I was telling AC before we hit record, I feel a little bit nervous right now, which I haven't felt nervous on a podcast in a very long time. But yeah, it's hard to say this. It was a very difficult decision for me to make. I think it's the right decision. But yeah, this is the last regularly scheduled appearance of Kyle on the ReGen Brands podcast. So yeah, that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, man. Well, I echo the gratitude, and I think we're going to share some of that even more later on in the show. And I appreciate you being willing to record this episode, and I think being aligned with we owed it to our audience to just let them know in this intimate way, which we've done with everything throughout this journey. So thank you for that, and thanks for embracing kind of the potential awkwardness or nervousness that I think you and I are both feeling, but I feel actually pretty solid about it at the moment. But you have some very strong conviction as to why you're making this change. So why don't you start with that and share maybe some of your reasoning behind the move?
Yeah, man. So there's been a lot of life shifts for me recently, in really positive ways, really, really awesome ways, and I think every time there's a new year and life shifts happen at the same time, there's an opportunity to reflect and think about, okay, where are you today and where do you want to see yourself in 1, 3, 5, 10 years? And what is it going to take for you to get there? What behavioral changes can you make on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis to help reprioritize your time to achieve your goals? And really for me, I've been so inspired by the founders and individuals I've been able to learn from out loud in this podcast that has really made me realize some of my quote regenerative concepts, business concepts, I want to spend more time focusing on. Um, so that's a big part of why I'm doing this. And I want to express a lot of gratitude. I mean, first and foremost to you for dragging me into this thing while I was borderline kicking and screaming. Um, way outside my comfort zone to share a lot, not on social media anymore. So for me to have a voice and a platform it was way outside my comfort zone. And I'm very grateful for what I have learned in this process. So thank you. Not only for that, but for all the work you've done in setting up the episodes, getting the guests dialed in, everything you've done, man, it's been incredible. Also wanted to share a lot of gratitude for all the different guests that we've had on.
Oh yeah.
I am, and I'm trying to be less self-deprecating here per AC's feedback.
There you go.
I have a very specific, set of experience in this industry, and I think I can ask some good tactical questions and bring value to the conversation and help to extract information from our founders. But I've been able to learn so much from all of the people we have interviewed, and they are so inspiring. So just to have the opportunity to engage in those intimate conversations with all these founders has been so enriching for me, and hopefully enriching for our listeners to be able to experience that as well. Um, Also want to express gratitude to the listeners, man. It's so cool and fun to get to connect with people who you do not know.
Yeah.
Um, and they feel like they know us because they listen to the pod
Right.
every day, or every week or whatever. But it's just a really fun interaction. And I'll share one I had recently at the CHFA, the Canadian Food Show.
Yeah.
This guy walked up, he's like, "Hey man, like listen to your podcast, it's great." And then he was giving me some shit. He's like, "Yeah, man, like half your jokes don't land and it's hilarious that they're not funny." And I'm like clearly this guy listens to the episode because obviously I try to make jokes and frequently they're not great. So yeah, I feel like I'm kind of
Uh,
rambling at this point, so I'll let you pause or I'll pause so you can interject,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
you go ahead.
Now, well said, man. And echo everything you've shared. And if you were kicking and screaming at the time when you agreed to it, you did a good job hiding it because I don't remember. I think you had uncertainty, but not any outright objection, right? And I think we both had a lot of uncertainty. So I just appreciate your willingness to wade through those waters with me. Like the iteration that has occurred through the course of this show is insane. Like we really have said this multiple times, but we did not set out with any sort of goal in mind. And your ability to, I think, share in our ability to share in our collective commitment to just continue to refine things to do what we felt like best served, the movement and our key stakeholders, really the brands. Um, I'm proud of that, and I appreciate you like helping out there, especially, you know, uh, with the limited bandwidth I think you did have at times, right? And the fact that I needed to sometimes make those decisions without a ton of feedback or input from you. So I appreciate the trust. I appreciate the support, kind of walking the walk. Um, and yeah, it's been fun, but I do want to stress. I don't know what we'll title the episode. Maybe it'll be Kyle says goodbye, but goodbye to the pod, but not to the work or something. Because I do want to make sure people know three things. One, um, all of our members in the trade association and the ReGen Brands Coalition. This doesn't affect Kyle's participation in that, his leadership in that. He's the chair of the board. He will continue to operate in all the same faculties on the trade association side. He's really just not going to co-host every episode of the podcast with me anymore, which is on the institute side of things. So that's one. Two, we're gonna have you back. I'll be always asking you to come back and maybe guest host. How many times that is, how often that is, we don't know. But this will not be the last time people hear your voice on the show. You're just exiting as a every episode co-host.
Correct,
Um,
and I cannot wait for those opportunities to come back and
yeah,
participate, so I'm very much looking forward to that.
yeah. And lastly, like the show is going on. Like the show will continue. Other than, you know, me not having bad jokes to laugh at and Kyle's other incredible contributions on a per episode basis, like it will pretty much remain status quo. There's some other new fun content and things that we're gonna do, but this isn't affecting the show continuing or our focus or the overall value that we see in the work. And I don't even think it's necessarily reflective of the value you see in this work. You just want to put your time and talent into other things actually that advance, the lifestyle that you want to live and also regenerative. I commend you for the clarity and the conviction, brother. I'm super honored and grateful for this journey that we got to walk together to this point. I feel really good about the direction that we're going moving forward still together in the ways that we're going to continue to work together and the work we can do there. So, um, super bittersweet. You and I have obviously had many more conversations than what the audience is feeling maybe in just now hearing this. So we've done a lot more processing than maybe our listeners have. Um, but I feel like we're in a really good spot and just appreciate you, man.
I really appreciate everything you shared. I wanna highlight a few other things. I want to express tremendous gratitude to Kettle and Fire for
Yeah.
allowing me to do this within the working hours. And this is not at all
Yeah.
like a Kettle and Fire driven decision. Like Kettle and Fire has never said like, "Hey, you need to stop doing the podcast." They
Yeah.
have been nothing but supportive. Um, which is incredible to work at a place like that that supports this type of work, which is not necessarily like beneficial to Kettle of Fire in any way.
Yeah.
Maybe some visibility, definitely a Maui Nui collab, which came
Yeah.
out of the podcast. So there has been some benefit for sure.
Yeah.
Um, So I want to express gratitude to Kettle and Fire. Want to reiterate what you said about like this is definitely not goodbye forever. This is certainly like not your regularly scheduled co-host anymore.
Mhm.
And also kind of double down on the fact that like I still stand by the conviction that I've been selling food essentially my whole life, and all I really want to do is get more people to eat more regenerative food. And me stepping away from the pod might seem like taking one foot out of that pool, but it's really putting 2 feet into the other side of like how do we do more of the execution side of this stuff.
Mhm.
Um, so my commitment to regenerative in general as a movement has never been stronger than it is today. Still
Mhm.
absolutely like the passion project, and where I plan to spend essentially the rest of my life is trying to get this movement go in the right direction, continuing in the right direction. Um, so that was the other
Can
thing I wanted
you
to share.
can you share what that might look like with any specificity for people that are curious, and happy if not,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, so I live in Central Oregon, and I think that I really am focused on how do we decentralize the food system in a way that consumers can connect their regenerative food to the place they live and experience some of the ecosystem benefits of those decisions in a tangible way. Um, the concept I have, if I can actually put it into practice, would be insane because it's essentially like 3 or 4 different businesses, all of which I learned about on this podcast,
Mhm.
doing this show, which is
Mhm.
incredible. And I feel like I'm uniquely positioned to try to make this happen. And there's this one area of land I continue to drive by, a few times a year, and every time I see it, I'm like, "We need to put bison on this land."
Yeah,
Um, I can't get too into the details, but that's really
yeah,
the goal is like how do we increase the soil organic matter in Central Oregon to prevent drought, to prevent wildfire, to get people more connected to nutrient dense, high quality food, um, and do what I say almost I can't say every episode, but many episodes where like how do we benefit human health and planetary health at the same time? And this idea has spurred because of this podcast, and I just can't stop thinking about it. So that's the high level. I can't really share too much more than that.
yeah. And then there's also some specific stuff you're gonna do in CPG/regen CPG with some existing things that you've already built that once again, they're still additive to this whole regenerative thing. It's just different than hosting the pot.
Correct. Yeah, I've done some consulting in the past, not necessarily for regenerative brands. And one of the things I want to do moving forward is fractional sales and or consulting for regenerative CPG brands who need sales help. That's really like all I want to focus on. Um, and I'm in a place where I've got a little bit of time and bandwidth to work with a very select group of brands, and I'm
Yeah,
excited to get that work off the ground.
yeah. I'm excited for you to do that, man. I mean, it's it's obviously super important, like we've talked about so many times, and like we've seen in the work that we're doing with the coalition. And um, selfishly, I'd love to host 500 more podcasts with you, but I also understand and I'm deeply aware of like that's an excellent place for you to provide real tangible value in a different capacity to the work that we're all trying to do. So yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing, ultimately, the fact that we can continue to evolve individually and collectively in this work. And ultimately, that's, I think, what regeneration's about. So they're cycles.
I think you're spot on, and that leads me to another thing I want to talk about. When you say evolve individually and collectively, when AC and I first started this podcast, we barely knew each other, like, which is hilarious to say out loud, but is the
Literally
truth.
90 minutes, probably 90 minutes cumulative. I don't know how to say that word of 60 minutes, probably total. Nah, maybe I don't know, maybe 2 hours max total in person and one 30-minute Zoom call
I
previously,
don't even think it
right?
was 2 hours, man. It was like no, there's like one phone call, one Zoom call, and maybe it was the second in person. It was like, cool, let's do a podcast. I
Yeah,
was like, whoa, okay.
yeah.
Um,
For
and
sure less than 3 hours total time spent together.
totally, yes. Um, but I remember thinking early on, like, okay, like AC's always talking about trying to get me to post on LinkedIn, which I've notoriously been like the worst LinkedIn poster in the world. And I'm like, at first, I'm like, dude, is AC just into this because like he wants to get like LinkedIn profile views? Like he's just trying to be like a LinkedIn influencer? Like, what's the deal? And as I have gotten to know you more and more, not just within the podcast, but within the coalition work and the institute work and the development of these organizations, like I feel like I have come to know like who you really are and how
Mm,
much you really care about this movement. And it is so much deeper than I originally thought it was when we first met. Like, he's just trying to be like a reg influencer, you know? Um, and that is so a small fraction. It might be the most visible piece that people see from you, but I want to share with the audience like there's a whole nother level of depth to the iceberg that is AC and his level of care and passion for this movement. Um, so it's been really cool to get to know you more and see how much you really give a shit about this thing, man. Truly.
Yeah.
Um, so just wanted to share that too.
Yeah, man. I don't think I've cried on a podcast yet, but you're getting me close.
I'm close
So
too, dude. It's like you can see it right there. There's like it's in the eye.
so thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And really right back at you in so many equal ways. Obviously had a level of excitement and conviction early on without a ton of sample size. And just have really enjoyed getting to know you and getting to do the work with you. And um, you know, I love communications. I love the strategy. I love kind of the whiteboard process. And you always bring me and I think us back to like, okay, what are we actually doing here with this information that we've gleaned, which I really appreciate. And especially me not having worked on the brand side, the level of credibility and the level of kind of tactical knowledge, especially early on, that you brought to the collective, was a necessity, and two was a major aid in just my personal development and also the development of the way that we can serve the ecosystem. So thank you for that, and thank you for you know really not bringing very much ego at all into this. Like, uh, my my hope for you that I've shared openly on this platform is that you will be less self-deprecating throughout your life. Um, but one of my favorite quotes is "Humility is the beginning of all understanding," and
Mm.
you really embody that extremely well. And that's one thing that I greatly respect and admire about you. And I think we do a good job with this show, but you have to have a level of vulnerability and humility to ask questions that maybe sometimes you feel like are dumb or you should already know, or, whatever that may be. And you have helped me grow in that area, and you've really embodied and modeled that. And I've learned a lot from it and have taken a lot of strength and permission from it. So I just appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, man. It's I don't want to say funny because I'm not being self-deprecating. It's
And you can't even say it before I start laughing. Whatever it is.
these are the jokes. They're always here. Um I'm happy to hear that you've been able to grow as much from our relationship as I've been able to grow from our relationship. You know what I mean? And that's when you talked about that, continual, like, collective and individual, evolution. I think this is a really good embodiment of that. And I have this, like, weird planetary, metaphor, like, analogy in my head where, like, for a period of time, like, our orbits were in synchronous and, now maybe they might be drifted, but
Mm,
they will always continue to come back.
yeah.
And, um feels like, the podcast in a way has been like bromance out loud, you know? Um, and like bromance will continue, just maybe not so much as out loud. The like you mentioned, all the coalition and institute work
Yeah.
still happening, and we're both mission aligned on like trying to solve this food environmental crisis that we find ourselves in, I think, for the long haul. So
Yeah.
um it's been great to learn out loud on this podcast, and the learnings will continue in other capacities for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Well, and that to me is a good segue of like another thing I want to thank you for is like thanks for making this fun. Like, um I am probably overly committed maybe to all of this work, and I'm definitely a workaholic and a perfectionist and an overachiever. So a lot of times what comes with that is not fun. And I think it comes naturally to both of us, so it's not like I don't think we have to try that hard to make it fun, but it could definitely not be fun, and definitely the weight of the issues that we are trying to discuss and or help solve for can be heavy at times. And um, we've gotten some minimal, very minimal critical feedback on the broness of this platform, but it's authentic, and I think we still maintain a very high level of respect and inclusivity, and all of that's important. Uh, doing things with authenticity, with respect, with inclusivity, with perspective, with humility. And I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but like, if I really try and do an honest, objective self evaluation, I do feel like we've really done that, and we've helped hold each other accountable to that, but also made it easy to do that, which can be taken for granted and easily overlooked. So, thank you for that, and thanks for continuing to make it fun, and especially pull me out of some of those moments where I'm just taking it a little too seriously, and maybe having a slight mental breakdown from time to time. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, I don't even have an instinct to be self-deprecating here. Like, I think one of my superpowers is turning professional situations into more fun situations. And I didn't it took me a long time to realize that there's actual, like, value to that. Um, I'm glad to hear that it benefited you, and I'm hoping that you take that with you even when I'm not here. You know what I mean? It's also ironic because I do think that we have a lot of similarities in the passion and differences in the execution, and, like, here I am, I'm wearing a white shirt, you're wearing a black shirt, like, there's so much balance, like, yin and yang in this
Yeah,
relationship, and, yeah, try to remember that moving forward, because, I think you do often put, like, the weight of the world on your shoulders, um, and you've got a network of people who can help, and, I
yeah,
may not be on the pod, but, I'm always phone call away, or
yeah.
yeah, phone call, not voice memo away.
Yeah, yeah. Guy does not want to receive voice memos from me. So those who know, big voice memo guy. But Kyle likes shit in writing that he can read, which hey, everybody has their preferences. I gotta respect that.
It makes it so I can respond with, more clarity and I can review. So, yeah, it's helpful for me.
Yeah. Which good indicator of the difference in communication style. One person a lot more emotional communicator than the other.
I'll let you guys guess which one is which.
Big tone and inflection guy over here in the black shirt.
Right, right.
Oh man. I've definitely learned from you there in that capacity as well. One of my first jobs out of school was actually CPG recruiting, and we were taught a protocol called LACES, which is a really good communication protocol. And hopefully I remember the acronym. It's listen, acknowledge, clarify, expand, seek solution. You
Mm.
are incredibly good at that. I am just kind of probably a little more emotional, so I can react or not hit my laces keys as thoroughly. But you're an expert at that, man. I've really learned from you in that capacity. So yeah, just appreciate that as well.
Appreciate that. I think, that was learned as my time being a waiter at PF Chang's,
Right, right.
where my tip every night was contingent upon my ability to listen and clarify. Um, so for all the waiters or prior waiters out there, these are skill sets that are learned well in that, I'm trying not to use the word capacity, in that arena, if you will.
Hey, bro, you're going out the way you came in and the way you were the whole time, overusing the word capacity. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. I just got to embrace it at this point.
I mean, we just got to get you to say that you're stoked. We got to get me to say bifurcate, and we'll hit a couple others, and we'll have hit all of them today. So
Well,
it's
I,
fine.
I'm not stoked to feel like I'm recording the last episode. I know it's not the last episode, but I am
Yeah,
super stoked to celebrate the 105 that I can't even say we've done together because I've missed a handful. But it feels like 105 that we've done together. And
yeah.
yeah, dude, it's been a hell of a ride.
Even just that number, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I'm feeling the grief of losing my running mate for that number, but also the gratitude for you know we put out the stats during the fundraising campaign. And I don't remember off the top of my head, but the amount of podcasts that never make it past 3 episodes, the amount of podcasts that never make it past 50, the amount of podcasts that never make it past 100. The fact that we did that as a show, one, and the fact that we did that together, it's something that should be celebrated. So appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely, man. Well, and that's part of the reason I feel, and I probably could have stepped away many episodes ago. Like, you've built such a killer foundational, like, platform, and you have
Mm,
processed this thing so well. Like, there's no part of me that is fearful at all that this is not gonna go without me. Like, I know, like, it will continue. That thought has not even crossed my mind. So
yeah,
that's a testament to you and the work you've put into this thing, that it will survive long after, my departure today.
yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Well, we can probably sit here and compliment each other for the next, 40 minutes. I don't know at what point the listeners get tired of it. But
Yeah.
I do wanna circle back, like, what are some of your highlights, like, favorite moments that we have had together, just for the sake of reminiscing a little bit, anything in
Mm.
particular come to mind?
The first one that comes to mind is not we didn't prep for this, so we'll just see what comes. But going back to the original impetus and starting, we did not have a high volume of interactions before we agreed to do this together, and you really accepted my invitation to do it together. However, the alignment and the ease of transparency and vulnerability that was displayed in those early interactions and that has continued, um, I guess it's another compliment for us, and it's not a specific memory, but, uh,
Yeah,
you
dude,
know
you're not reading from the prompt. Like, I tried to cue
yeah,
you up for something, but I'll
yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
No, I mean, just, like, I think it's super cool, and, I think it's not a lot of how business, air quotes, "business" gets done in the world today, and I don't want to say it was super intentional to do it because it's abnormal. I think it's just the way that you and I operate. But super grateful for that, and have learned a lot from it, and have taken it, further than just that. So that's a core memory, as the kids would call it today, is just how when we did show up for those first and second interactions in person, it was like, damn, these boys got into the depths quickly and vulnerably and admirably. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Um, I think that's a great answer, actually, and my response answer to that is also not like a core memory, but it's the ease at which, like, I've listened to a handful of podcasts with 2 hosts,
Mhm,
and sometimes you hear, like, "Okay, wow, these 2 play off each other really quite well," and other times
mhm.
it's like, "What is the other person even doing here?"
Yeah,
And I think that, especially given the lack of either of us, like, formal training in a podcast host capacity, my word,
mhm,
um, or, like, the very limited amount of time we actually had together in general, it's shocking to me how well we played off each other during the podcast. Like, it always felt natural. I
mhm.
think we did a really good job, even sort of wearing each other's hats at times, of either getting off track or getting us back on track. And it
Yeah,
never really seemed like we had to, like, talk about it much. I think in the beginning we might have, like, talked about it a little bit here and there, but it was
yeah,
never a hard thing for us to do. So that's just another thing that I really appreciate about the luckiness of, like, how we just interact as a duo. It just works
yeah,
really well.
yeah. I'm having some not full clarity, but some memories back to, like, the gingerness that was applied to the initial feedback after those first episodes, where we would, like, the guests would get off and we'd be like, "So what do you think?" And it's like, you wanna say something critical to me, I wanna say something critical to you, but we don't know each other that well, we don't know how to maybe deliver it. Um,
Right.
so even just seeing how that has, like, grown since the beginning is funny to reflect on. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's been a shit ton of work to develop process and preparation, but at the end of the day, dude, like, you and I are both always strapped for time, and so I have a lot of good memories of us being able to, not irresponsibly, but wing it and, like, really still provide a lot of value, I think, and do things really well without a ton of prep. That I actually think there's a lesson there. And
Mhm.
um, I appreciate you being willing to kind of ebb and flow with certain parts of the approach needing to be really buttoned up, really SOP'd out, and certain parts just need to be us showing up and contributing, in the moment to what feels alive. So that's been another cool aspect.
For sure. Yeah, agreed. We've both done really well in the differing environments. Sometimes we're over prepped and we do great. Sometimes we're 0 prep, wing it, and it happens to be one of our most listened to episodes. Like,
Yeah.
how that happens, I don't know, but it's great that it does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. I'm trying to think of other good memes.
I've got some. I'm
Yeah,
happy to
please.
go.
I mean, I feel like I wasted all mine or used all mine on episode 100. So you throw some at me. I'm
It's
ready
true. Well, I
for it.
think, there could be a lot of redundancy here, but I still think, funniest moment by far was, like, that Shetty's intro for whatever reason, like, just having the giggle fits with Francisco. I don't know what the deal was, but
Yeah.
that was hysterical.
Yeah.
Um, Episodes where I
I,
feel
s-
like
I still I still get choked up almost every time doing the "What's up, everybody?" If I make eye contact with Kyle while I say that, and people can go check the YouTube videos, like I have to look down when I do it because if I look at Kyle, I will burst out laughing. I literally can't even start the show.
well, that like alludes to another like dynamic of this podcast hosting, whereas like we know what each other could be thinking and try
Yeah,
not to respond in the middle of an episode. Like,
yeah,
some guests might be particularly long winded, and we might both be like subtle gesturing to each other, like we need to figure out how to get back on track here.
uh,
Um, or
uh,
sometimes AC will call me after an episode to vent a little bit,
yeah.
and sometimes that happens, and other times like AC will call me after an episode and be like, "Dude, that was, like, the sickest episode ever," and to know and feel those vibes mid-episode and to be able to, like, connect and talk about it after the fact is always
Yeah,
been, like, really fun part of doing this.
yeah. My only core memory there, which we won't name the guest or the episode, is texting Kyle during an 18-minute monologue by a guest. An 18-minute monologue and just texting him and saying, "Bro, we're at 18 minutes here. Like we got an 18-minute monologue rolling here." Like that was a wild moment.
That's a good peek behind the tent for those who are looking for a more tangible example of what we're talking about. So, yeah, sometimes those texts happen, and, it's all good. Just part of the
Mhm,
experience.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else, brother?
I think that's it, man. I have a little list here of things I wanted to make sure I covered. And I've ticked all the boxes, man. Again, I just feel grateful to have been part of this experience and look forward to coming back and visiting from time to time and chiming in. We'll certainly continue to subscribe and follow along. Um, and looking forward to doing more of the work to get more people to consume regenerative foods. That's it, high level.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Right back at you. And a lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation, a lot of actual positive outlook and conviction, and even increased conviction, I think, from both of us on the work overall. Um, just part of the game that people shift their roles and responsibilities and things that they do in the work sometimes. So I'm looking at it as that. And I think overall it'll be really positive in the long term. We'll certainly miss having you as a running mate and a co-pilot, but know you're always a phone call away, and know we'll have you back. And hopefully even we can continue to do some of the solo pods where you and I do more like industry overview stuff, because I think people have really valued that and I've gotten feedback on that.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, there is no regen bro in singularity. There is only regen bros in
Right.
plurality. The wolf is only as strong as the pack, and the pack is only as strong as the wolf, or whatever that quote is. And the regen bro is only as strong as the regen bros. So, a lot of love for you, man. And we will be in this work together for what feels like forever, at least until we're in the soil ourselves. And yeah, man, just appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Well, one last shout out to the listeners. When we first started doing the podcast, I was tracking the metrics and I was like blown away. Like, people are actually listening to us talk about this. This is crazy. We would not have continued doing this if we didn't have people subscribing and listening more and more every episode. Um, so I hope this doesn't feel like too big a letdown to anybody out there listening. It's truly a pleasure to have, and then unfortunately, like a one-sided capacity, feel like you all have gotten to know us. I wish that could be a two-way street. And if I'm at a show or something, stop by, say hey, and would love to chat.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants to reach out to Kyle, drop him some love on LinkedIn potentially, maybe, and some gratitude, or you can reach out to any of our info addresses to get any messages to him if anybody does want to reach out, because you deserve it, brother. A lot of gratitude from me, and honestly, also just a job well done. Like, great work, and thank you for showing up the way that you did, and thank you for delivering the quality of effort and outcome that you did. And I look forward to the next adventure together, bro.
For sure, man, and thank you, for giving me the opportunity, despite having barely known me.
I know a good
Appreciate
egg
it.
when I see one, man, most of the
That's
time.
true. Regen
95% of the time.
regen egg, I like it.
That's right. All right, brother. Appreciate you. For transcripts, show notes, and more information on this episode, check out our website, regen-brands.com. That is regen-brands.com. You can also check out our YouTube channel, ReGen Brands, for all of our episodes with both video and audio. The best way to support our work is to give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to future episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can also subscribe to our newsletter, the ReGen Brands Weekly, and follow our ReGen Brands LinkedIn page to stay in the know on all the latest news, insights, and perspectives from the world of regenerative CPG. Thanks so much for tuning into the ReGen Brands podcast. We hope you learned something new in this episode and it empowers you to use your voice, your time, your talent, and your dollars to help us build a better and more regenerative food system. Love you guys.